Identifying.
The king of cakes. Chopper for the win.
Hey Chopper, how's it going? It's Richie from ThePapadumGeek. I make geeky / tech videos and I'm a big fan of your videos, especially Crumb from Real Monsters. I'm a big nerd at heart. As you can tell, I've got asteroids right there, Donkey Kong behind me, even a hoverboard. But I would like, especially it's the Christmas season, if you could make a gingerbread AT walker. That would be pretty amazing, and I think it's pretty difficult. If you can do that, that would be awesome.
Thanks for that, Richie. Okay guys, so here's the AT walker from Star Wars. First thing you're going to do is print out the template from CakesByChoppA's Facebook page. Cut them all out and sort them into the body, the head and the legs. This will help you organise them on separate trays. The gingerbread recipe requires you to make it 3 hours ahead of time, so it's got time to rest in the fridge. Once that's done, you can roll that out and cut out your template pieces. Be sure to keep them on trays that are grouped by body, by the head and by the legs and the frame. This will help you later on. And when you're cutting out your template pieces, if there is a ×2 on it, you want to cut one side out with the stencil facing up and one side with the picture on the stencil facing down. This will give you a nice smooth edge on both sides when you put the thing together. On the template you see the little trapezium shapes. These become the toes on the feet. Be sure to cut them out ahead of time. Remove all the excess from the larger pieces and move the baking paper onto a tray and freeze it so it's easier to move those without breaking them. For the ankle pieces, I just used a tear-shaped cutter and then cut it so I had the semicircles. When moving the pieces to the trays, be very careful because you don't want to break any of them. If it's broken, you have to re-roll it and do it again. Don't repair it and try and bake it because it just gives you a weak biscuit. The legs have to be a little bit thicker than all the other pieces because they're supporting all the weight. And then with the template here, you can see I cut out 2 shapes of the long square because one is the base and the others are the top roof parts. So pay attention to those. All of it's written on the template of what you need to cut and where. Once they're baked, you can flip them over and double bake them so they're a bit stronger, so it's not soft underneath. And then go over them with your template again and cut off any of the excess that's bubbled out a bit. This will give you nice smooth lines. This is such an important step because you've cut out the template and it's all warped a bit and you can see the sides have grown and it makes it impossible to put together. Once they've cooled down, store them in an airtight container until you're ready to use them. Now using the icing to glue it together, the recipe is also in the description or the annotation above. You're going to start with one of the sides, draw on the icing lines to pipe on the base and the roof pieces, and as you can see this is fairly easy. You just put them together and then place the top on and the weight of that will hold it, and use cups to prop anything that needs to be held up if you're doing this by yourself. The construction of this is something that you can't rush, so while the body's drying you can put the side panels onto the hip pieces and then join them to the body brackets to create this frame that I was talking about earlier. Tack on a little bit of extra icing in the corners to make that hold sturdy, and then store that in an airtight container after the icing dries a little bit. Then it's time to construct the head. I did this off camera, so I had to pull it apart and redo it so you could see how I did this. Pretty much the same as the body, putting the pieces on and then putting the top on, letting that dry completely. It's going to take at least 1 to 2 hours, if not more. Once again, I would remind you, if the pieces aren't out drying, make sure they're stored in an airtight container because your gingerbread will go soft. If you're impatient like me, you can decorate the legs because these dry fairly quickly. Just follow your template's pattern. It's open to suggestion. I used freckles for the joints and then piped over the top, but go crazy with it. Glue on your favorite candies. The same with the body. I just used a mixture of mustics, licorice, freckles and Smarties, but you can glue whatever you like. You can even cover this with a bit more icing and fill in sections. Go crazy, but keep in mind that this is supported by the legs, so use small candies that don't weigh very much because you don't want to add a lot of excess weight for nothing. For the sake of keeping this video short, I'm only showing you the one side when I decorate it. I did decorate both sides. Once this side had dried, I stood it up and then piped on a replica of the other side. So whatever you do to it, just repeat on the other side. I could go through and show you every step, but it would just make the video twice as long. I just remembered, when I made the piping bags, I had two, one with a thick nozzle and one with a thin nozzle. This is so I could use the construction and also the decorating at the same time. So that's up to you. But I do recommend that you have the two handy. Use assorted lollies or candy to highlight or cover up any joins that you want to improve or get rid of. For the neck, I put the 3 pieces on the frame and then covered them with a licorice that made it look like paneling. Now the head needs to be attached pretty firmly to the body, so you're going to place a large dab of icing in the body and then place the head panel on top of that and glue in around the edges with the icing, and you're going to put quite a bit and then leave it for 2 to 3 hours to set. I glued the toes onto the feet earlier but forgot to show you that process. It's just sticking them on in a cross formation. Once that's ready to do the feet, you can put on a dollop of icing and the ankle pieces, elevate the frame to the height you need, use whatever you can to do this, and then stick them together, holding them for a few minutes until they set. Be sure to put on a little bit of extra icing on top because that'll help strengthen the frame. Now you're on the home stretch, you can go through and put on any little extra details. I use some must sticks for the guns to stick onto the side of the face. Clean up any edges that you're not happy with. Place on some icing for the body and then place the body on top of the legs. Then pipe some detail on the inside of the legs so it doesn't look bare. Now if you're going to make this for a specific day and do it a couple of days ahead of time, you want to store the legs and the body in airtight containers and then put them together on the day you're serving it. Because gingerbread in the open air goes really soft and won't support the weight. Thanks for checking out my video, guys. I do appreciate it. If you're a Star Wars fan, you might also want to check out my Yoda cake or my Death Star cake. Just click the annotation above, all links are in the description. And don't forget to head on over to Richie's channel, check out what he has to offer, give him a subscription, tell him Chopper sent ya. He's a great guy and he does some awesome reviews. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.